So we are here. The Euroformula Championship starts now. Euroformula Open at Estoril, the first time we open the season here at this 4.182 kilometer circuit since 2018. A lot has changed in Euroformula Open since the last time we were here at Estoril in 2018. The car is different. Of course, the cast of drivers is different, but we expect it to be just as competitive as ever in this fabulous junior single-seater category. We've got drivers from across the globe taking to these Dallara 320 chassis powered by Spies and HWA engines, and we have plenty of very potent teams with lots of single-seater history in the paddock buzzing to get their young stars up to the head of the order. And the team that did that better than anyone in qualifying was Team Motopark. We also had the likes of Crypto Tower, we have Van Amersfoort, DriveX, BVM Racing, all here in the paddock, and it is a strong grid. It was a very close run qualifying session as well. The man we see on screen, Nicolas Pino, he was a mere 8th on the grid, which really, a driver of that quality tells you all you need to know. Who was on pole? Well, it was this man, Oliver Goethe, in the Team Motopark number 96 car, the Gulf livery adorned to that car, as is family tradition. And Oliver, absolutely stunning in qualifying, just pipping Josh Mason to pole. And we will see who wins the drag race for the first corner in about 15 minutes time. But for now, my name is Adam Weller, and I'm welcoming you along to this coverage of the Euroformula Open race number 1 of the season. Of course, we have 3 races here today, here over the weekend, I should say, at Estoril. And I'm delighted to say that I'll be joined by George Morgan for all 3 of them. And George, we're here earlier for qualifying, and if quali is anything to go by, this should be a great race.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Certainly a lot of the drivers, I think there was a few harem-scarer moments. I think turn 6 was certainly a very poignant point on the track. I actually caught up with Nicolas Pino earlier on. They were pretty... they were okay about their session. I think there was a few home truths that were sort of unleashed during qualifying, but you know, it's a learning game. A lot of these guys are coming into these cars for the first time. It's a step up in many cases, but nevertheless, they're all here to fight. They're all here to battle. Oliver Goethe certainly impressing from the get-go for Team Motopark. Very good qualifying session for them, but not forgetting the Crypto Tower Racing team. Josh Mason, Christian Mansell, and Vladislav Lomko as well, making up the next 3. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, hard contestment heading in towards turn 1.
Oh, turn 1, absolutely. I mean, if you keep up with any of our drivers on social media platforms, you'll already know that Christian Mansell is firmly ready to get his elbows out. That's a direct quote from one of his tweets. He's ready to go. And the same goes for everybody. And I think Josh Mason in particular there on the front row of the grid, he's going to feel that he has something to prove, because he was here last year. He did the full campaign in 2021, which isn't the case for an overwhelming majority of the drivers we have here on our grid. And so Mason, coming in with the experience, he is going to feel that he needs to make his mark on this championship in the early going.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, the first race is all the more important. It sets the tone for the rest of the season, and they have to really give it their all. These drivers only have one thing on their mind, and that's maximising their performance, making sure the balance of the car, the tyres are up to temperature. It's all go from here, and it's going to be pedal to the metal for the first race of the season.
Yeah, absolutely it will be. And you say about setting the tone for the season. Last time we were here in 2018, Filippo Drugovic won here at the beginning of what was arguably the most dominant Euroformula Open season to date. I believe all but 2 races he ended up winning in what was an incredible 2018 season for the Brazilian. Will lead them away, he hopes. Mansell, the young Australian driver from Crypto Tower, he, as I've said, is looking to make an attacking start here, and we'll see if that materializes on the run through the first few corners of this 4.2 kilometer layout. Vladislav Lomko, the newcomer, he will be looking to make a dent in that Crypto Tower machine, and Vlad often displayed good racecraft further down the single-seater ladder, so I wouldn't put it past him. Frederick Lubin in 5th position, the second of the Team Motopark entries on our grid. And, the British flag driver starting from 5th place, I'm sure we'll see him try and work up through the order. Sebastian Oggaard, the first of the Van Amersfoort cars. Van Amersfoort a little further down the grid than I think they'd typically expect on this occasion. The Dutch team who are in practically every single seater category below Grand Prix racing on the face of the earth. And Philip Ugran starting from 7th place, another of the Van Amersfoort cars. He's in the number 14. And I should say, all of those drivers were well within a second. So was Nicolas Pino in qualifying. It was such a close grid that we have here as we get ready to go. The DriveX car of Nicolas Pino, he seems quite relaxed in the paddock. We'll see how that translates to the racetrack. Nicola Marinangeli of Van Amersfoort Racing, the Italian driver. He was all fun and games on Thursday here in the paddock, but you can tell that it's a more serious demeanour on the young man today. Alex Garcia for Team Moto Park, rounding out the top 10, and he will be followed by Francesco Simonazzi in 11th for BVM Racing. There he is, and Alex Peroni of DriveX follows him. Now, Alex Peroni didn't really get it hooked up in qualifying. He was 1.1 seconds back from Oliver Goethe's pole time. Everyone else was within 3/4 of a second of Oliver Goethe's pole position. That is quite the feat, or quite the point of interest coming into this one. It's going to be really, I mean, if you do fall down the order owing to a mistake, there's going to be very little room to make up the positions again. And equally, as we get ready, we are just a few moments away, but equally, George, we are going to see a very, very close grid as we run through these cars again. We've already talked you through the grid, but we'll do it one more time. Oliver Goethe and Josh Mason on that front row. Then it's Mansell and Lomco, and all three of them within 3/10. Lubin, Sebastian Oggaard, Philip Ugran, and Nicolas Pino on row 3 and 4. Row 5 will be Nicola Marinangeli and Alex Garcia in P10, Francesco Simonazzi in 11th, and Alex Peroni in 12th. As you can see there, with all the times in front of you on the screen, it is going to be very close, but George, it is going to be the finest of margins and the slightest of errors that could cost people podiums and potentially even race wins here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw it in qualifying, a few issues here and there. Obviously, their qualifying lap's very different to the race, of course, but still, it doesn't change the fact that the track can be very, very tough heading in.
It's been going well so far, all the tests, all the practices, but they don't mean anything, and now this means something, so it feels amazing. Yeah, I had to do it on the last lap because I hadn't set a good time before that, so the pressure was on, but I managed to pull together a lap. And
Oliver Goethe there joining us for an interview earlier on after his pole lap. Obviously very, very delighted with his performance, but the big question is, Adam, is can they hook it up in the race?
I think there's every chance they can. Oliver Goethe has good racecraft. He also comes in with a bit of buoyancy in his step. He had his first try at tin top racing over the winter, taking a class win at the 24 Hours of Dubai. And yes, a GT4 car, very different than the Euroformula car he finds himself in today. But any victory that comes during the off-season gives you that little bit more confidence. And Josh Mason seemingly not getting off the line, and that will not provide him with any confidence. Thankfully, he did get the car running, but it took him a little moment to get the car started. He will still, of course, take his second position on the grid. Only if you fall back to the rear of the field does it become a debate as to whether you should be having your grid slot or not. But that was a little bit of a hiccup for Josh, but that won't cause him any undue pressure, I don't think. Now that the car's running, he can focus on getting the tyres heated up and getting himself underway.
Yeah, that's very much the priority now, just getting those temperatures absolutely spot on, getting realigned with the track. Obviously, they're going to be looking at every single segment of it, every trace of tarmac, just making sure they know exactly what to expect as soon as the lights go out for the start of the race. But obviously, Oliver Goethe doesn't have a lot to worry about out in front of him. A clean start off the line is absolutely vital. And obviously, as you said, Josh Mason not going to be feeling or blessed with a whole realm of confidence after that start for the formation lap. But nevertheless, he got it going. He's back on the track. He can learn from it. Hopefully, when we head into the race, he'll be raring and ready to go.
Well, I think it's the mark of a truly great racing driver when the hiccups happen and you can still focus fully. I'm sure Josh is well in the vein of a great driver in that he can bounce back from that little moment of, oh, goodness, no, not now, of all the times. And I'm sure he'll be ready to rumble in just a few moments. We spoke to Oliver Goethe yesterday. He said, well, you know, I've had some practice starts in the car, but I've never had to do it in a competitive environment. That's obviously not the case for Josh Mason, who did a full season with us last year. And Christian Mansell, incidentally, as well, from third position. He didn't do a full season with us last year, but he did about half the calendar all in all, starting with Spa and then picking back up again from Monza onwards. So Christian has plenty of experience with the Dallara 320 also. So Oliver Goethe is in a bit of a lion's den there with Josh and Christian behind, both in the Crypto Tower cars. Those two do have a little bit more experience, and sometimes experience does best everything else.
Yeah, no, it does, absolutely. I think you'll fall back on that previous experience in the championship and utilise it to his best effort, certainly in this case. But obviously we'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's been since 2018 since we last raced here at Estoril, so it's going to be a lot of pressure still. I mean, just because you raced in it last season in the Euroformula doesn't mean to say you're going to use that experience at Estoril. It's a whole different kettle of fish.
Absolutely. Every start to a race is its own beast. Every grid slot has its own character, be it from the perspective of grip or indeed elevation change, etc., etc. Infamously, the front row of Brands Hatch is the most difficult place to launch a car in the world. It's not quite that hard here at Estoril, but there's still plenty of challenges facing the drivers in just the next few seconds. We should soon see the cars all lined up. You just see the back row of the grid starting to form. The green flag has already waved, so they're not going to waste any time. The 2022 Euroformula Open season is go, and Mason with another poor start. It must be a mechanical issue. Twice in a row, Josh Mason has struggled to get off the line. Oliver Goethe has fallen through the pack as well, and that's left Christian Mansell in the 71 car to the front of the order. It's 3 wide for second between the Van Amersfoort racing cars, but it's Mansell that leads them, and contact there between the Van Amersfoort cars. The number 14 of Philippe Ugran is around. It's been a dramatic start to the race then, George, and Ugran facing the wrong way. Ugran and Mason, early casualties.
Incredible stuff indeed. We said it could happen in Sector 1, Turn 1. All the chaotic, unfortunate for Josh Mason not to get off the line, and there is the stricken Philippe Ugran, locked in the gravel, heading around towards Turn 3. And that is he's going to be seething. I'm sure there's going to be some words afterwards in the garage at Van Amersfoort. But Christian Mansell, he said he was going to send it. He did just that. He leads here at Estoril as we now see some more action now. As we see Alex Peroni and Oliver Goethe going together here at this point. We can see them all lining up side by side. Oliver Goethe, we've got a safety car, ladies and gentlemen. A safety car on the track.
So safety car deployed, no surprises there, especially if you are George Morgan, my co-commentator. He's been bandying the idea of a first lap safety car all weekend, and sure enough, just a few corners in, it's happened, and it was somewhat inevitable, really. That first corner is such a pinch point, as is turn 2, and so the 14 car of Philippe Ugran firmly beached at the exit of turn 2, and well, 3 wide among the teammates. You just know that the entire Van Amersfoort team were there clenched, and unfortunately their worst fears proved true quite quickly.
I don't think we'll stop by the Van Amersfoort garage tonight. I think we'll cut them a little bit of slack, but incredible. What a moment. I mean, nevertheless, never nice to see a car tumble off the circuit, and certainly Philippe Ugran is going to be feeling less than impressed right now. But obviously we said at the start of the race things would get a little bit heated in towards turn 1. You know, it's tenacious. That first corner, you're almost turning back on yourself, and one slight mistake can really cost you. Unfortunately, 3 wide heading in towards turn 3. I think in that situation, maybe they couldn't go. Obviously, they couldn't. Ugran fell into the gravel, but Mansell leads. He's got the advantage over Sebastian Ogard, and of course Vladislav Lomko too. So, got to give Christian credit. He did exactly what he said he would.
Yes, he did. Mansell to the lead. Let's run you through the order after that one then. It is Christian Mansell that leads, Sebastian Ogard in second place, Vladislav Lomko in third, Frederick Lubin in 4th place, Nicola Marinangeli in 5th. Then it's Peroni in 6th position. Good start from the back of the grid for Alex Peroni. Oliver Goethe there in 7th position, our pole sitter with an unfortunate getaway, but we'll see how he progresses through the order. Nicolas Pino is next, so Goethe in a Drivex sandwich there in 7th place. 9th position is Alex Garcia. 10th place, Francesco Simonazzi. Josh Mason is there at the back of the order in P11. I have to imagine he has a clutch issue or something of that nature, because twice in a row, formation lap and race start, he has had issues. As a safety car comes in this lap, George, I do think that Josh probably didn't have final say in what happened off the line there.
I don't think he did, and here we have a look at the replay, and as you just say, Josh Mason, I don't know what happened, whether it was a stall, mechanical failure, not quite sure, but it wasn't enough to get him off the line. Oh, there we have it. There's a puff there of black smoke. That's never a nice sight, but have a look at this. Christian Mansell into turn 1. He had the advantage, and there's the 3 Van Amersfoort cars just slightly widening around turn 1. In came turn 2, in fact, as they came through, and Newgran then ended up in the gravel. Certainly not a nice place to be. And obviously there we could see the other angle shot. There I've got to say, there was another car that went off as well. I believe that was in fact Ollie Goethe as well. He actually found his way into near enough into the gravel trap, just off the curb. So he was very fortunate, but craziness.
Oh, here's the VAR response there. There was some applause early on. I think that applause probably turned into something else a few seconds after we cut away from that shot, but nonetheless, we have what should be 18 laps of green flag racing to go, all being well, but do bear in mind as well that this race runs to a 35-minute time distance, so if we continue to have pauses and hiccups in the action, we may go to time rather than distance. We are back to green flag racing though, and it is Christian Mansell who has made a fabulous getaway. He's got a good few car lengths over the chasing pack, being headed by Sebastian Ogard. Ogard side by side with Vlad Lomko as they come across the line, and Lomko on the outside there in the 69 car. Surely Ogard can hold it on the inside. No, Lomko braver and gets through into 2nd place, and following through as well, I believe, is that Fred Lubin. Yes, Frederick Lubin through into P3. So the Van Amersfoort cars, Van Amersfoort cars have been demoted quite quickly. They were 3 wide for 2nd on lap 1, turn 1, and now, I'll bite my tongue, because Ogard, I was about to say they've been pushed out of the podium positions, but Seb Ogard already back on the attack, George.
He certainly is. Another man I want to point out, Alex Peroni, from the back of the grid, all the way up now to 6th place. He's making some moves here now, Adam, at this point in time. We've got some more side-by-side action in towards the next left, and certainly you can see it now. Car number 96, Oliver Goethe in the Golf livery, suffering there slightly around that left-hander, but certainly still no doubt who the leader is. Christian Mansell launching out at over an 8/10 of a second. Ollie Goethe again at the mercy here, this time of Nicholas Pino, who moves ahead of him and will take that 7th place. But drama ongoing here in this, I suppose, these early laps.
You see that, as Josh Mason there got into the back of Ollie Goethe. It's trials and tribulations for Ollie Goethe here, isn't it? He's being rather bullied down the order, unfortunately. We'll see if he can retaliate in due course, but that was a late braking move from Nicolas Pino to get around Oliver Goethe. Goethe's car seemingly okay. I think that was Josh Mason that got into the rear. We'll confirm that as he crosses the line. Yes, I think it was Josh. Yes, Josh is now behind Goethe, as there goes Peroni. These Drivex boys, they have full faith in their brakes. Peroni gets past Marin Angeli for 5th position, and well, Peroni in qualifying seemed to be a ways off the pace. He's clearly made some adjustments. He's done some work with his engineers over the course of the break between qualifying and race 1, and whatever he has done has paid dividends.
Yeah, he's looking really comfortable. We have a look at another replay here, and down it towards turn 1. That is just the way you like to do it, and that'll allow Alex Peroni up into 5th place, and no doubt he'll continue on the attack. He's got Sebastian Ogard there ahead of him in 4th place, and part of the rookie contingent, as we see a little lock-up at that point as well, and they round the next left. Still Christian Mansell out in front though, nursing a 1.5 second advantage.
Yeah, Mansell with the fastest lap of the race thus far as well, a 1:31.684. But what's going on there with Peroni? Peroni was very wide at T7. Oliver Goethe was on the attack, but that's left him open to Josh Mason as they go through the Gancho chicane. It's all kicking off. Goethe back on the offensive. He gets around Nicolas Pino. Mason's still involved as well as they head towards the S's. They have to find a way to filter through eventually, and it's Goethe back up to P7. Nicolas Pino dropped down to 8th place, and now Josh Mason has an opportunity at the slipstream, as does Garcia and Simonazzi behind.
Yeah, he certainly does. Nose to tail now. The gap thinner than a fly's eye. eyelash as now they make their way down through towards turn 1. Goethe and Pino squabbling here too as they make their way in towards turn 1. Still Goethe out in front. We got movement in the back. Garcia right in the mix as well as they come through, but no dramatic moves in towards turn 1, keeping it relatively sensible as they now come through. Or as I spoke too soon right now as we see them all coming through into fruition, but no, all in tandem at this moment in time. No major swaps so far, Adam.
So far, I think probably being the key word there. As Christian Mansell continues to head the way, the gap is out to just under 2 seconds now. Another fastest lap on the board for the Australian driver. He was oozing confidence in the paddock between qualifying and race. Absolutely no water off his back at all. He was chilling out, he was chatting, he was bantering with Oliver Goethe and his team. Christian is certainly composed now that he's in the race car, though, and he is driving away from the chasing pack, which is being headed by Vladislav Lomko, who's also the leader in the rookie category at the moment. Lomko, the newcomer, and he will be delighted with his showing thus far in this first race in Euroformula Open for him. Lubin and Ogard are top 4. Starting to spread out a bit at the head of the order. Of course, anything but further back, as we were talking about just now in that battle for what was 7th and then 8th place, and still looking very close back there. But Mansell really is putting in a shift, isn't he?
He is. 2.2 seconds clear right now of Vladislav Lomko. Frederick Lubin in 3rd place as well. But it's been a good performance so far from Crypto Tower. Certainly looking very strong as Oliver Goethe now, once again down the inside at turn 1, and has pulled it off magnificently ahead of Nicola Marinangeli. Absolutely superb for the Golf livery as it makes its way around this next right-hander, sitting now in 6th place as they come through this next right. Marinangeli, though, I'm sure no way near deciding to give up at this point. Plenty more time to go, plenty more laps left in the tank, and certainly Oliver Goethe on a charge.
Yeah, now seeing a replay of the move. Goethe very brave, very trusting in his brakes in the Dallara, and moves up another position. It's becoming a bit of a train behind Alex Peroni, isn't it? It's basically Peroni and then everyone else in this battle for 5th position. Let's see if Goethe makes a move imminently. Certainly, look at him. He's already closed right back to the gearbox of Alex Peroni. Peroni will be watching through the mirrors as they approach Gancho chicane to make sure the youngster doesn't make a move up the inside. Peroni, one of the more experienced drivers on the grid this weekend, and the young Australian and the Dane may well soon be side by side. Let's see what kind of run Goethe can get up round the Parabolica Ayrton Senna. That's the key, mate, the key place, isn't it, really, coming out of the last corner. The first turn is the best and biggest braking zone of the lap, and Goethe draws alongside George. I think he might have it here.
Yep, side by side down through towards turn 1. Ollie Goethe's given up waiting. He's gone alongside Alex Peroni as they come down in towards turn 1. Gets it done before the corner. Comprehensive work there from Oliver Goethe, and now he can sit in P5 and chase after Sebastian Ogard. He's got a recovery mission ahead of him. He started on pole, lost it slightly in the early laps, but he's on a comeback. Can he get closer to Sebastian Ogard? He has got a little bit of time to find.
Yeah, well, the way he's systematically got himself up back into 5th position is worthy of a tip of the cap all on its own. But as you say, he's got 3.7 seconds now to make up on Sebastian Ogard there in 4th place. And of course, the further up the order you go, the harder it gets. Christian Mansell again with the fastest lap of the race. A 1:30.843 puts him well clear of the chasing pack, a couple of tenths clear of Vladislav Lomko behind him in terms of 1-lap pace. We have a yellow flag down at turn 3, so says the timing screen. We'll have to wait and see whether we get indication as to why, and here it is. That is Pino again having a moment at T3. So Nicolas Pino in the wars there. He drops out of that train that was behind Alex Peroni, and he will now have to try and recover back up the order. The young Chilean driver having a difficult first race.
He is indeed. Christian Mansell still leading. He's drawn out that gap again by another 0.4 of a second. He is absolutely flying. Sebastian Ogard has gone quickest in sector 1, so he is starting to gain on some pace. He probably knows that Oliver Goethe is right in behind him and chasing, so maybe trying to put together something quick. But Ollie Goethe himself has put together a fastest sector 3, so all of them going for it at this stage. I did see Oliver Goethe is sort of really aggressive on the steering. He was really keen to get ahead of Alex Peroni, and he was all over his rear end. Literally, Alex Peroni had no chance. Goethe off the back of the Ayrton Senna Parabolica, managed to get right in behind, move alongside, get the move done, and now he's intent on finding the rear of Sebastian Oggaard. But of course, long way to go. He can still do it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, certainly we're going to have to just bide our time for the next little while. As you rightly say, though, Oggaard isn't going to want to do that. Goethe will be closing in. He's made another 4/10 or so on that lap alone. In theory, 14 more laps with which to make up the time, but I actually think we're probably going to run to 35 minutes rather than the full lap distance, but we'll wait and see as we get closer towards the end of the race to do that maths with any real accuracy. The 69 car in second place, Vladislav Lomko doing a great job here. Just pulling away from Lubin slightly lap on lap, although actually I eat my words, because Lubin was a couple of tenths quicker last time by. So the 71 car of Mansell, let's see what his lap is now. You get the feeling that he could soon start to just manage the pace, because he's doing a fabulous job at the head of the order. He's still 3 tenths quicker than a lot of the people behind him. 3 seconds the gap now to Christian Mansell. That 71 car is on rails. He seemed really happy with the balance of the car coming out of qualifying, and well, you can see why. Goethe with the fastest lap of the race, though, in 5th place. The Gulf-coloured car that just went through your shot, a 1:30.618. What could have been for Ollie Goethe if he has this kind of pace in his back pocket for the race? And I think Josh Mason will be thinking the same thing. He's stuck here in 8th place behind Marinangeli and Peroni. And of course, Goethe and Mason were our front row of the grid, but that didn't really do them any favours long term.
Not at all. Like we said, anything can happen in the first lap, certainly turn 1, and we've seen just that. And the likes of Alex Peroni has gone the other way. I mean, he's up in P6 from the back of the grid, so a good performance from him. Nicola Marinangeli also gaining up the ranks too, currently sat in 7th, so not doing a bad job at all. There's Ollie Goethe with the fastest lap at this point too, so he's got lots of pace in his tank right now, as we're now looking at certainly Sebastian Oggaard, the gap between him and Ollie Goethe at 2.6 seconds, so that's still got to be marshalled inwards. A lot of work needs to be put in place by Ollie Goethe, as we're now watching the cars now make their way through the next right-hander, this one being of course Ollie Goethe himself, flying down out of the Ayrton Senna final corner, down the long straight. In behind him Alex Peroni as well, hot on his heels, trying to close too, but that gap has gone outwards as well. Oggaard, that one's coming down slowly but steadily, and you have to wonder, has he got enough time to be able to close it even more?
I tell you what, Goethe's really lit the afterburners now. 1.7 seconds the gap is all of a sudden. I kind of visibly winced there on behalf of Sebastian Oggaard, because that gap has really come down. It was what, it was about 3.5 seconds 3 or 4 laps ago, and Goethe is just reeling in the number 25, corner on corner, apex on apex. The last lap, another purple, another fastest lap. A 1:30.551 for Oliver Goethe, and you see there the tail of the tape. Look how much quicker he was last time, as Oggaard goes around the outside, tries to at least, but Fred Lubin with the inside of the Parabolica interior. But what a cut back there from Sebastian Oggaard, the Danish driver, trying to go all the way around the outside at turn 7. Doesn't happen often, won't happen now, but of course this will be all kinds of good if your name is Oliver Goethe, because as these two get to fighting, that gives you the opportunity to get a podium.
Yeah, it could be a podium on the table. Exactly right, Adam. They come out now of the chicane and head around this next right down towards turn 11. They've got turn 12 up again, and then soon turn 13. Still Lubin in 3rd, Oggaard in 4th. In behind as well Goethe, who's managed to crawl back the gap with all the fighting going on between those in P3 and 4. Oggaard now looking to try and gain on Lubin. Can he use the slipstream to his advantage? Down through towards turn 1. You wouldn't write off a dive at this point, would you? Heading down now in towards turn 1. Defensive there for Lubin, as now you see Oggaard round the outside. No, well, certainly nose to tail, wheel to wheel, but not quite enough to get alongside. Oggaard stays in behind Lubin. Goethe, though, lurking in behind too. Come in to join the fight. It's a 3-way tussle for this podium place.
And it's the two Danes then for fourth position. They've got Fredrik Lubin just ahead, the English flag driver, British flag driver, I should say, my apologies. Through Curva VIP they go then for what is the 11th time in this race. And Oliver Goethe is going hunting, but he's got two very formidable opponents ahead of him in the form of Lubin and Ågaard. Ågaard again has a little look to the inside for all of a 100th or 200ths of a second, decides against it. He's got so much more confidence though in putting the power down out of the Parabolica interior, turn 6. But he is yet to find a way past Fred Lubin, and with every single corner almost, Goethe becomes more and more of a factor. He's well within slipstream range once they come to the main straight. I doubt Goethe's going to be in a position anytime soon to take both of them in one fell swoop, but what do I know? I'm sure the bold young Danish driver may disagree on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will. They're coming out now out of Gancho round turn 12 and turn 13 now, the final bend, and still Lubin holding on to his advantage in P3. And behind you can see Ågaard as well. I have to say, I think Goethe's looking more of a threat at this point as they make their way down the stretch. He's closer to Ågaard than Ågaard to Lubin, so maybe a chance here now for Ollie Goethe. Down in towards turn 1, and he does have a look, but not quite enough. Not quite enough gain to make the move stick, but still, nevertheless, he's in the fight. These three cars certainly giving us a show.
Yes, that was very speculative, I think. That was just peeping your head around the door to see who's at the dinner table, wasn't it? Not quite able to get the move done yet, not close enough yet, and he will wait for now. He knows he's got about half a race left to go. He doesn't need to be taking any undue risk at this point. He's also just struggling for traction there out of Curva VIP. I just wonder whether maybe he's taken the best out of the tyres closing in on these two. Here comes Ågaard up the inside. He's got the inside this time. He locks the brakes up, but he gets through. Great move there from Sebastian Ågaard to take third position, but will Fred Lubin immediately try and pounce back? No, he doesn't. So it's all changed. Third place goes Sebastian Ågaard, and well, the lockup was a little bit hair-raising, but otherwise, good move.
Yeah, the gaps are still minimal, though. Still another chances. I got to say, a little bit of a mistake there potentially by Lubin heading in towards the Gancho corners as they now come through the next right-hander now and leading into the next left. It's still at this moment in time Lubin holding Ågaard's holding on to his position. Lubin in behind him. Goethe is also trying to close as well. I get the feeling as we head around the final corner we might be in for another treat here, leading down in towards turn 1. You can see them weaving on the straight there indeed. Ågaard trying to hold on, certainly does so in P3. You can see Lubin in 4th with Goethe in behind. It's all fun and games here at this point, and I have to say, more to come for sure.
Absolutely, it's a 3-car fight for third place, and you really wouldn't want to put any stakes at all as to who is going to be third come the end of the race. Oliver Goethe attacking at some junctures. Here's a look back at the move with Ågaard. He just locks up the inside left wheel, but he gets it stopped. He gets the corner, and he takes the third position for now at least. And Fred Lubin there runs it a bit wide at Curve VIP, but he does get himself a good slingshot out of T4 as a result of that. But Goethe looms large, and he knows that Lubin's passable here. He saw it a lap ago, and this time it's Goethe on the inside of Fredrik Lubin, and through into 4th place goes the 96 car. Great move from Oliver Goethe, who then goes defensive. He's having absolutely none of any retaliation that Fredrik Lubin may have, and he now will resume the pursuit of Sebastian Ågaard.
Yeah, great move, comprehensive move there from Oliver Goethe, and now he chases on to Ågaard, as you so rightly say. Lubin now back in 5th place with Peroni trying to gain, but he's got a little bit of work to do. Here's the instant replay. Ollie Goethe there just making use of that drag, moving alongside, had the inside line as well, heading around turn 6, and utilised it to his betterment, hugging the inside curb, gave him the traction, and he was able to nestle it before turn 7. So wonderful job by Goethe, and I'm sure he'll be looking to press on now and chase after Sebastian Ågaard as we now look once again at Christian Mansell, who has been leading all this way. 3.3 seconds is the gap between him and Vladislav Lomko in 2nd place. And Christian Mansell, what can we say about this performance so far? Utterly incredible, dominant, you would say.
It's a measured drive, isn't it? He's now settled into the high 1:30 bracket, whereas everyone else is doing the 1:31, so even though he's pretty much unopposed at the front of the order at the moment, he's still building that advantage. He's been very positive about his chances for this weekend. I think he was a tad bit disappointed about not being on the front row, but it doesn't seem to have done him any harm whatsoever. The two drivers that were on the front row are 4th and 7th place respectively. Josh Mason has moved up now past Nicola Marinangeli, as we saw. And actually, let's take a look back a little further than that even, because Marinangeli just ahead of Garcia and Simonazzi, and Simonazzi tries to go all the way around the outside at the Parabolica interior. That's going to give him the inside for the following Arella corner, turn 7. Has a little glance to see if the car is still there. It was, and so Simonazzi has absolutely no trouble cutting the nose off and saying the position is mine. He is up into 9th position.
Yeah, did very well to stick to Marinangeli like glue there, heading around turn 6, and was able to hold on to that side-by-side, give himself the advantage then heading in towards turn 7. So very well done indeed from him. And now coming round the final corner at the Ayrton Senna Parabolica is still currently on top. Christian Mansell. Here comes Goethe. Goethe back again, this time on Sebastian Oggaard. He's managed to decrease the deficit so much, and now letting fly, this time at a podium position. P3 on the table here for Ollie Goethe, and he'll be delighted if he can pull this one off.
You kind of had to assume that this was going to resume again, didn't it? The Battle of the Danes, Oggaard and Goethe, with the rate that Ollie caught up just a few moments ago when they were both behind Lubin. You just thought that Oggaard would be coming in hot eventually. Goethe would be coming in hot on Oggaard eventually, and here we are. Oliver Goethe in the 96 car had a look at turn 1, not close enough for a move. Did cost himself a few car lengths in the immediate few corners following that by trying to dive up the inside, but that really doesn't cost him anything. He's already back on the, almost back on the gearbox of the car from Van Amersfoort Racing, driven by Sebastian Oggaard. And as they go through the Gancho chicane, he's going to hope for a good run through here, through the S's, and maybe, just maybe, he'll be hoping for a tow out of the Parabolica Ayrton Senna, and they'll try and he'll try and get the inside line into turn 1, and that braking zone, as we've alluded to already this weekend, it's so harsh and it's also so critical.
Well, I have to say, he's got to get his best defensive helmet on now. As you can see now, Oggaard pulling into the paddock side, trying to avoid any potential overtake or any potential slipstream here for Ollie Goethe, but is that going to be enough to stop him as they head down in towards turn 1? Still nose to tail at this point. Goethe does have a look, but not quite enough to sustain an overtake at this time as they come out now, down through now towards what will be turn 2 at curve 2. As they do so, nestling in deep into towards the curb, hitting it, just grazing it slightly as they come round turn 3, and still holding on. Oggaard at his best defensive. That's what he's going to need to hold back Goethe. Goethe, a man relentless, a man on a charge, is not willing to give up the fight. He is literally in between him. The gap that's being sustained is minimal. Just over 0.3 of a second, just under 0.4, should I say, and Goethe letting fly every moment at this time. Let's see, can he close up on Oggaard? Can he get the move done?
Well, he's looming, isn't he? But being on the gearbox is one thing, getting around that gearbox is quite another. And Oggaard there in 3rd position, knows how to defend. He's certainly a measured driver. He knows what to do. And we'll have to see whether Oliver Goethe can find his way around the driver of the 25. Of course, Van Amersfoort Racing preparing Sebastian Oggaard's car. And the Dane couldn't wish for a better team to be tied up with for this Euroformula Open season. You get the feeling, though, that Goethe will be on the hunt this time. They run out of the Parabolica Ayrton Senna. Goethe's in the slip. Can this be the moment, George?
It certainly could be. Once again, Goethe closing up. A man on a mission as they go around the outside now, leading down through towards turn 1. Oggaard trying to hold on. Oh, a little lock up there. That could cost him as they make the exit. Has Goethe got enough? Not this time. Superb defending there from Sebastian Oggaard, doing his absolute best to hold back the tirade here from Ollie Goethe, and he's done just that. A superb bit of defending there. I have to say, I was a bit suspect after the lockup, but he did well to recover.
He did. He just about made sure the car was still where it needed to be. He made sure that Goethe couldn't get the run out of turn 1. So for now, Oggaard holds on to P3. Of course, Seb Oggaard, who had a great season last year in Spanish Formula 4, took 5 wins and 8 podiums. So he's very much a form man in terms of his recent junior single-seater back catalogue. As we take a look at this, a move further back, actually, between Marinangeli and Simonazzi. And that's Marinangeli getting back through, albeit not giving Simonazzi much room. So, well, certainly aggressive between the pair, but well, I'm sure they'll talk it out later, the two young Italian drivers, but that was a little bit naughty to be that far off the road.
Well, it was certainly that, I think, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure they'll be able to chat it out and solve it like gentlemen, as now we're watching Christian Mansell in front and leading the way. That gap still at 3.4. If anything, it's gone out by another tenth, so he's still improving, still maintaining a good steady pace. You'd be absolutely delighted with this performance. It has been certainly that. It's been very special. Going back to his comments, very confident that he was going to send it today, and he did just that. He got it off the line, certainly the best, had the best start of all, and has managed to nurture that P1 position. Once again, Ollie Goethe, who we're currently seeing on our screen, still chasing after Ogard at this moment in time, but Ogard, a defensive masterclass, I'd go as far to say. He's doing absolutely superbly to keep this man behind him, Ollie Goethe, giving it his all right now, and certainly trying to usurp that man, Sebastian Ogard.
He's certainly putting in a shift, isn't he, Sebastian Ogard there, making the widest Dallara 320 one could possibly imagine. He's going to take the inside line heading into the Parabolica interior, because it was a great run out of Curva VIP from Oliver Goethe, and Goethe's going to capitalise around the outside at turn 6. That sets him up wonderfully for turn 7. The move is practically done before they even get to T7. Great driving from Ollie Goethe. We didn't really expect it to come at T6, but that's exactly where it happens, and he just seems so confident in that number 96 car.
Just don't count him out. Don't count him out, no matter what happens. The start, I tell you what, wasn't the best, but he came back fighting. A true testament to his abilities in a race car. Certainly, as Ogard now down to P4. Of course, Van Amersfoort can be pleased with his performance. His defensive efforts were massive, and he did his best to keep Goethe in behind. Just not enough on this occasion, but here we have a look at the replay. Here is Ollie Goethe, a sensational approach round the outside. We saw this a little bit earlier on, hanging it around the outside, still maintaining the car alongside that of Sebastian Ogard, and that gave him the advantage, as you so rightly said, Adam, heading in towards turn 7. So well done, 96, now up to 3rd place.
And there is some of the crew watching on from a little from the Moto Park and Crypto Tower garages, which are next to each other in the paddock. And there's the Christian Mansell car, the number 71. He's one of the Crypto Tower drivers. He's delighted with his metallic blue on this car. He's been telling me about it a couple of times in the build-up to the season. My car's going to be the best looking one on the grid. I'm telling you now, it's going to be. And well, he's certainly going to think it looks even better if he's the first one to pull up alongside the podium in less than 3 laps time. We are going to run to the full 21 lap distance of this race. Of course, we started with 20, but we got an extra lap owing to the safety car. Vlad Lomko has been putting in a strong performance. He's held that gap at around 3 seconds or just under for the last several laps, and in fact he was purple in the first sector this time by, so clearly he's still got some life left in the Michelin rubber on his Dallara, and both Mansell and Lomko, as it stands, will have a lot to be happy about as they hop into race 2 and 3, which take place tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. It all happens again tomorrow, and I'm sure this will be a big learning curve, I think, for many of the drivers. Obviously, the first race in the bag, they'll assess it, drivers briefing afterwards, I can imagine, and then have a look as to what they can do to approach tomorrow's race, because tomorrow's another day, Adam, at the end of the day. They can review, they can look at the setup, see what they can do to get the most out of the car, how to get the tyres better warmed up, as well as the just nurturing their positions as well. They'll have a bit of knowledge about the track, race environment. So I'm certain we could be seeing something totally different tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see how Vlad Lomko develops as the season goes on. He really hit a rich vein of form in the UAE Formula 4 Championship over the winter. He didn't do the full season. In fact, I think he only did 4 races, but in that time, he got 2 victories. And he really did seem to hit his stride. And as he adapts to the Dallara 320, which is a bit of a different beast from a Formula 4 machine, I expect him to get ever more competitive. And I mean, already there in 2nd place, he could be a title contender, as could this man, Christian Mansell. But then again, you could say that about well over a half dozen of the drivers that we have here this weekend. It is a very strong looking field of young drivers.
Yeah, they've all driven to their credits as well. You've got to give Goethe a lot of hat tips as well for his effort to come back through the field. Didn't have the best of starts, as we said earlier on, but Ogard as well, who's put on a very good defensive show, as well as Lubin. Lubin was right in the fight too. 2. Alex Peroni, with his efforts to go for the back of the grid, up to P6, and currently sitting 1.1 seconds away from Frederick Lubin. So he's done a tremendous job to gain and certainly narrow down that traction there, as we see a lovely shot here of Christian Mansell rising up through the Gancho chicane. What a lovely smart view that is, attacking those curbs there, Adam.
Can feel it in your vertebrae, can't you, watching it bounce in slow motion. It can't be the most pleasant ride ever. I think the e-scooter he was running around on is probably a bit more comfortable than the Dallara 320, which doesn't come with too much suspension travel as standard. You see there Oliver Goethe, 1:30.366, fastest lap of the race, and not too far off the kind of pace we were seeing in qualifying and in free practice before this race today. Christian Mansell, however, is just a few corners from home, and the young Australian driver is looking set to have the perfect kickoff to his 2022 Euroformula Open season. He heads towards the Gancho chicane for the final time. It's quite an uphill. It's like the reverse corkscrew in a way, fighting the wheel every inch of the way and doing a bit of a slide. I don't know how much of that was accident, how much of that was intent, to be honest. He's a bit of a showman, Christian Mansell. Through the parabolica Ayrton Senna he comes for the final time, and Christian Mansell is about to cross the line to take the win at the first race of the year in Euroformula Open. Is it a good omen? He'll certainly hope so. He's across the line ahead of Vladislav Lomko, who takes second place, and Oliver Goethe with a sensational recovery drive back up to third position. He will be happy with that, but it will be bittersweet. Sebastian Ogard eventually taking fourth. Frederick Lubin rounds out our top 5 ahead of Alex Peroni and Josh Mason, who couldn't quite get back into the top half dozen after his issues off the line at the start of the race. We await the rest of the drivers across the line, but George Morgan, what a performance that was from Christian Mansell. He will be holding his head high in the paddock this evening.
He certainly will. He's going to be jubilant. What a way to start the season. Certainly come here and pretty much lead the whole way. He wasn't disturbed at all, maintained a very good 3-second gap for the majority of this race. But you can see there Ollie Goethe just giving him a visor that you'll be seeing me again, son, as you know, see them making their way down the stretch. Without a doubt, all of them drove to their credit, and I would not be surprised to see them at the top end again.
Goethe really kind of stamping his authority on the race from third position. He even set a fastest lap again on the final lap, a 1:30.161. I firmly agree with you. He feels that he's going to be right up there again in race 2. Christian Mansell it was that won from Vladislav Lomko, Oliver Goethe, Sebastian Ogard and Frederick Lubin, our top 5. Then it was Peroni, Josh Mason in 7th, Nicola Marinangeli in 8th, Francesco Simonazzi and Nicholas Pino rounding out our top 10. Alex Garcia, who finished in 11th place. I think he had some issues there towards the end. And then, of course, Philip Ugran, relegated to the role of spectator on the Van Amersfoort pit wall after a spin on the very first lap, aided, unfortunately, by one of his Van Amersfoort teammates. There you see confirmation of that. Ugran not taking the finish, but the Romanian driver will certainly bounce back come race 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, he certainly will indeed. Like I said, a lesson learned on the first day. But nevertheless, a great performance from Christian Mansell and Ollie Goethe. Vladislav Lomko, of course, in second place, doing well to maintain it. And Sebastian Ogard as well, right in behind. But no questions as to who the winner is as they peel off into the pit lane. See the stewards there giving them some jubilance on the right-hand side as well, clapping them all in, which is wonderful to see. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a delighted Christian Mansell hopping out of his Dallara 320 chassis. And he's going to be he's going to be thrilled, utterly thrilled.
Here's a replay of the big moment then, the checkered flag dropping for Christian Mansell. He is going to be jubilant with that one. He's had high hopes coming into the season, but you never really know what to expect. There's Nico giving the big thumbs up as well, one of the key members of the Crypto Tower racing team. Mansell heave-hoes himself out of the Dallara using the halo for a little bit of purchase. He is going to be one happy man. I think we're about to get some celebrations. Yeah, he's reveling in the moment, justifiably so. Christian Mansell, take a bow. Great performance in race 1 of the season. He has some people to greet.
Well, what a wonderful performance. And there you can see as well, Vladislav Lomko getting out of the car as well. And no doubt Oliver Goethe will be joining him too. He can be pleased with his performance, to say the least.
Good job, man.
And you can see there the garage staff just giving him a little bit of a pep, saying, well done, excellent job. But I'm sure they'll be looking for more.
And Oliver Goethe having a debrief there with Stuart Hall. And Oliver, as we said, it will be mixed emotions for him because it was a wonderful recovery drive. The fact that he had to recover in the first place, though, will obviously dampen his spirits. But again, looking great for the season ahead. And you see there our colleague Alfredo Filipponi waiting to hear from Christian Mansell. And once we do hear from Christian, I think he's going to have the widest smile. He's practically going to have a smile wide enough to reach his native Australia from here in Portugal. He's going to be delighted with that. You see the mandatory weigh-in. The drivers having to deal with the formalities before we hear from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just hopping up onto the scales and just take the measurements. There's Ollie Goethe. See the drivers, all smiles.
Can I drink out?
I'd imagine.
Can I drink out?
Very thirsty work.
And so the top three, we look at them now. Oliver Goethe, who claimed third place. It was a mighty recovery from the Danish driver. Vladislav Lomko will be delighted with second position in the number 69 car. You heard there that he felt he needed a drink. These temperatures in Estoril more than justify that. Christian Mansell, though, is our winner. And let's go and hear from him now.
Christian Mansell, first winner of the 2022 Euroformula Open. How was it? The start was a little bit lively, then things were more quiet. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, obviously the two guys in front of me had a bit of a poor start and obviously capitalized on that. And yeah, we pretty much just drove the perfect race, really. Today the car was just outstanding, really. You know, we just kept being consistent, just not pushing, just, you know, just really just chilling, relaxing, making sure you hit all your marks. And yeah, super, super proud of everyone back at Crypto Tower Racing. Just a surreal experience. Awesome car to drive today.
And off to a very good start of the season.
Oh, absolutely. What a way to kickstart it off. You know, to get this momentum now in the championship, you know, you look back on this at the end of the year and go, you know, you need it. You need to start off strong. And today we definitely did that.
Well done, mate. Podium now.
Thank you very much.
So the highlights of our first Euroformula race of 2022, and it was a terrible start for Josh Mason, issues with his car. Christian Mansell capitalising on a poor start for Ollie Goethe to take the lead. The Van Amersfoort crew, though, they got a little too involved. Philip Ugran around at turn 2, and that was the end of his race before it even really began. We got back to green flag conditions, and it was Christian Mansell that led them away. Oliver Goethe began the not insignificant task of carving his way through the Euroformula Open grid. He got around Alex Peroni here at turn 1. That was a favourite overtaking spot of his, and there was plenty of fighting in and around Peroni, and unfortunately the other DriveX car of Nicolas Pino ended up spinning around at turn 3. Then we had Fred Lubin having to hold off Sebastian Ogard as the race progressed, but eventually Ogard found a way through. Bit of a lock-up as he went through the Parabolica interior, but he managed to make it stick and move up to third place. It was something that he had to do in timely fashion because Oliver Goethe was closing in. Goethe dispatched Frederick Lubin and did not get any retaliation from the British driver, and not too long later he made his way through into third place with a great move around the outside of turn 6 that he finished at turn 7. Christian Mansell, however, pretty much unchallenged once we got back to green flag conditions, and the Australian took a commanding victory and celebrated it as he well should. And now we see the podium ongoing. Oliver Goethe already there. Vladislav Lomko in second position. And Christian Mansell follows him out in quick succession. And all three drivers stand for the national anthem. So the celebrations will begin here in Estoril. Worth noting as well that Vladislav Lomko, twin trophies there because he's also taken the rookie class victory.
So photographers, you may
take
your pictures now.
Christian Mansell holding his trophy aloft, and they now wait for the photographs. And well, what a way to kick off the day at the Autodromo do Estoril. A great first race of the season and the weekend for the Euroformula Open, and Christian Mansell a deserving winner.
Absolutely, he did it in great style. He could be pleased to have picked up that trophy indeed. Hopefully it'll be a sign of further things to come, you'll say, and as they uncork the champagne slowly, as you know, look at them trying to get the tops off him.
Some of these guys haven't done this before, have they? You can kind of tell.
And
Mansell not only the first in the race, but the first to get the champagne uncorked. And we now bid you farewell from Estoril. Congratulations, Christian Mansell. I hope you've got a spare race suit.
That's all for today for the Euroformula Open. Afterwards, you have the first round of the International GT Open.
Bravo, bravo.